Are you ready for pain? Are you ready for suffering? If the answer is yes, then you're ready.
I'm standing in front of Emma, talking to her like this, and she's, she's in front of me, her back against the mirror. She goes, John, Angelica's being mean. And he goes, and I know she's being, she's not being for real. She's just being whatever. And John is like, okay, ladies, that's enough. Let's, get back to work. And she then looks at me and she goes, don't you mean lady? And she turns around like this and covers her mouth and goes back here, but can't see. I'm looking at her dead ass in the camera like, what the fuck did you just say? And I'm standing there looking her dead ass in the damn thing, and I'm like trying to process the fuck she just said. And I'm standing there and she walked away. My blood is boiling. Because I'm like, if I say something, it's gonna be me. That's the problem. And I know this because there was someone who spoke up about what she was doing and they got repercussions from it. Not her, they did. So when I saw that happening, I was just like, I'm done. I didn't speak to that bitch the entire time after that. So we had scenes together and I never spoke to her. She said to me, she could feel the energy coming off of me. She was like, are you okay? You haven't been talking. I'm like, Because, bitch, don't play me. You've been playing mind games with everybody on the set, and everybody's been waiting for the moment that you would get me.
So I did not expect to wake up to Angelica Ross exposing Emma Roberts for being a terrible person. Well, we know that Emma Roberts has been terrible, but she's exposing that she was terrible to her. Now, for context, both Angelica Ross and Emma Roberts have worked on Ryan Murphy projects. I believe they worked on the season where it was like set in like a summer camp. I can't remember what that season was called. She went on live, I believe on Instagram last night, to talk about how essentially Emma Roberts was a complete menace and not in like light terms. She would play mind games on people whenever she wanted to. And when they were in a disagreement on set, Emma used her white woman voice and said, she's being mean to me. And John, I believe, who was one of the directors on the set, said, okay, ladies, that's enough. Let's get back to work. And then Emma proceeded to say, don't you mean lady? Basically saying that she's the only lady present. You know what? I'm not even surprised that Emma Roberts is transphobic. I mean, she literally has like a whole rap sheet of just being terrible. So her being transphobic to a black woman, just, it falls under her. It definitely falls under her, Emma.
Okay guys, I really don't know how to feel about this because I've been an Emma Roberts fan since her Nickelodeon days. And this has me freaking shocked. I really hope she comes up with a statement soon.
It seems like Emma Roberts has apologized for her comments to Angelica Ross. It seems like Emma Roberts has sent an apology to Angelica Ross over the comments that she made on the set of American Horror Story. Angelica Ross hopped on Twitter earlier today to let us know that Emma Roberts had apologized to her. She says, thank you, Emma Roberts, for calling and apologizing. Recognizing your behavior was not that of an ally. I will leave the line open to follow up on your desire to do better and support your social justice causes with your platform. For those of you that don't know, Emma Roberts had made some transphobic comments to Angelica Ross on the set of American Horror Story, and Angelica Ross last night went to Instagram and she was talking about it on her live stream.
She then looks at me and she goes, don't you mean lady?
I think this apology is just in bad faith and it's not genuine because she wasn't going to apologize until the public called her out for it. I think Emma Roberts is just trying to avoid being canceled like the slew of other celebrities and their different scandals that's going on in the media right now. And I don't think that she's going to truly be held accountable for this. But that's just my opinion. If you've got a different one, let me know in the comments below. Do you think she's actually sorry for this?
I will no longer support Emma Roberts. She is transphobic. Instead of using her privilege to educate and be an ally, she decided to reinforce stereotypes and create hostile environments for trans people. If you guys are confused, transgender actress Angelica Ross recently came out with statements regarding Emma Roberts. Crazy part is, why am I not surprised? Emma Roberts played these mean girl roles way too well. Not to mention her history of domestic abuse. I just can't stand her at this point. Apparently, Emma Roberts did apologize and take accountability. I always think, you know, people can learn and grow. I'm just wondering if it's because Angelica Ross exposed the truth. Either way, I'm always going to support a black trans woman. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
Emma Roberts is a transphobic bully? That's the story according to Angelica Ross, whom Emma worked with on the set of American Horror Story, who also says that Emma would play mind games on the set and created a hostile work environment. And Aquarius playing mind games, that's not too surprising though.
She goes, John, Angelica's being mean. And he goes, and I know she's being, you know, she's not being for real. She's just being whatever. And John is like, okay, ladies, you know, that's enough. Let's, you know, like, get back to work. And she then looks at me and she goes, don't you mean lady? And she turns around like this and covers her mouth and goes back here, but can't see. I'm looking at her dead ass in the camera like, what the fuck did you just say?
We were rooting for you, Chanel, but it definitely gives some context to that weird bookstore incident earlier this month. Like, why was she so hostile towards him? Wasn't even in her way.
She goes, John, Angelica's being mean.
There's no question that the so-called private apology, which has made its way into mainstream media, is insufficient, and I'll tell you exactly why. People not being held accountable or taking accountability for their own actions, especially when it comes to being transphobic, that's just going to contribute to creating a culture of more transphobic behaviour. Please remember that at the end of this are people who are trans, they identify as trans, who are just existing and they're being subject to this abuse. The reason that a private apology is insufficient is because she is a public figure and she has a responsibility, because a lot of people will see her actions and think that that's okay because she's contributing by not taking accountability to creating that culture. It sets in motion for people to say, oh look, she's fine. Let's forget about it. And then the next person thinks, well, I don't like this trans person, I can say something and get away with it because look at that big public figure. And for anyone out there who disagrees that Emma Roberts should make a more tangible public apology and make strong steps going forward, bringing light to these issues and showing that she's educating herself, if that wasn't the case, then this wouldn't be a news story at all. That's damaging her reputation and also damaging the lives of trans people who are victims. This is why I analyse the public apologies of a lot of celebrities, because I know that they need to do better in most cases. And as a public relations professional dealing with crisis communication and reputation management, I know exactly how they should do it to not just save their own reputation, but to contribute to making a better world.
In case you haven't heard, Angelica Ross comes forward with an alleged transphobic comment from Emma Roberts back on the set of American Horror Story during the time of filming. Angelica Ross was seen on a live video talking about her experience and how months after the fact she decided to confess this to her audience and the news got wind of it. While I'm happy to report that Emma Roberts has come forward and apologized and is using this as a learning opportunity to move forward in a positive direction for trans people, there's still more work to be done. Now, many of you may be asking, why didn't she come forward sooner? And the fact of the matter is, all trans people who are famous have been through this issue. And in order to get paid and booked and make sure that they're on top of their bills, they have to kind of swallow the BS. And this is just one of the many examples that has been come forward. And there's so much more that goes unsaid.
Okay, so there's some mess afoot over in the American Horror Story family. Angelica Roberts has been exposing Ryan Murphy in some of the work conditions and some of the ways that he treated her. Unfair, as she thinks. And because she got a lot of backlash and pushback, she says she's going to go all out. She's going to expose some of her co-workers who were horrible to her as well. And the main one was none other than Emma Roberts. And I can't say that I'm shocked. Like, no.
Don't be shocked. You're shocked? You're shocked?
I don't know why anyone would be shocked about this behavior from her. And I say that because either they don't have discernment or they haven't done their proper research on her. So as some of you may know, she famously dated Evan Peters. They dated on and off for about 7 or 8 years, and they were actually engaged at one point. But also, of course, they were co-stars on American Horror Story, as Evan Peters was the main character for years on American Horror Story. He's one of the main characters. But she was very abusive to him during their relationship, and she even went to jail once for domestic violence. But it was a very toxic relationship throughout. They both have stated, and also sources close to them.
I'm standing in front of Emma, talking to her like this, and she's, you know, she's in front of me, her back against the mirror. She goes, John, Angelica's being mean. And he goes, and I know she's being, you know, she's not being for real, she's just being whatever. And John is like, okay, ladies, you know, that's enough, let's, you know, like, get back to work. And she then looks at me and she goes, don't you mean lady? And she turns around like this and covers her mouth and goes back here, but can't see. I'm looking at her dead ass in the camera like, what the fuck did you just say? And I'm standing there looking her dead ass in the damn thing, and I'm like trying to process the fuck she just said. And I'm like, I'm standing there and she walked away. My blood is boiling. Because I'm like, if I say something, it's gonna be me. That's the problem. And I know this because there was someone who spoke up about what she was doing, and they got repercussions from it. Not her, they did. So when I saw that happening, I was just like, I'm done. I didn't speak to that bitch the entire time after that. So we had scenes together, and I never spoke to her. She said to me, she could feel the energy coming off of me. She was like, are you okay? You haven't been talking. I'm like, Because, bitch, don't play me. You've been playing mind games with everybody on the set, and everybody's been waiting for the moment that you would get me.
Girl. I mean, come on.
So Emma Roberts has been typecast as a spoiled, mean, bratty bitch. She has been typecast. She plays that character so well. And we're starting to think that it's not even a character. That's just who she is. Because don't get me wrong, for the most part, I love her characters in American Horror Story. But she's also like so annoying and like a childish. Like especially on my favorite season, Coven, season 3, The Witches. She was so freaking annoying, but you had to learn to love her, learn to like her, learn to forgive her. And partly was because she was SA during that season, so it gave you more compassion for her character. But she was still a bitch. And on top of that, she's a Nepo baby. So that just explains everything else. Her dad is Eric Roberts. Her aunt is Julia Roberts. And yeah, she's a Nepo baby. And she was displaying white woman tears on set against Angelica Roberts. If anybody remembers the show called Unfabulous on Nickelodeon, like back in 2003, 4, or 5, I don't know, I was a kid. That was the only thing she played nice and sweet on. But again, she was a child then, so.